Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and I was holding off from doing this because I don't give a toss about international football. It's not really my forte. I don't watch too much of it. I don't pay much attention to it. But do you know what I decided? Why not? Why not give the Celtic fans who are waiting for some Celtic content a video they can actually watch today? We're going to discuss how the Celtic players have done on international duty as it comes to a close this evening. And what's been a very interesting one for both senior level and under 21s. There's a few players to go through. Some have had some cracking games. There have been some cracking moments, and we're going to go through it all in the video. We'll try and go through with as much knowledge and fact as I can, despite watching barely anything. Now, when I say watching barely anything, I've tried my best to catch up with the highlights and stuff of the Scotland games. I was out for both. I never really got to see much of it. And I've done my research into the other teams and other games as to how the players actually performed in those games. I've done it, don't worry. I'm not talking absolute nonsense, just a wee bit of nonsense. But we're going to talk about how that relates back to them on Celtic duty, how it will affect them coming into the team as we go into the game at the weekend against Ross County and moving forward. Will Neil Lennon pay much attention? Will he stick to his stubborn ways? We'll soon see. But there's only one place to start, and we may as well start off our own country, because there's a little bit to discuss in that itself.
If it wasn't for your wellies, where would you be?
What a disappointing country to be from when it comes to international football, eh? Scotland, as usual, letting us down big time. A draw against Israel at Hampden the other night, and then a 2-1 win last night against the Czechoslovakian Plumbers. I don't even think it's no Czechoslovakia anymore. That's wrong. That's wrong. Politically wrong and every way wrong. But against the Czech Republic last night, you know, they were fielding a team of absolute nobodies after the disaster that came out with the Czech FA, and yet we only scraped by with a penalty in a 2-1 win. And it's just bringing to a much larger context the problems that lie within the Scotland squad. I do want to remain faithful in Steve Clarke. I was a big fan of the appointment when he was made manager. I thought he was the right man to take us forward, but the results of this past break haven't been too encouraging, to say the least. Yes, I understand it's the first international football of 2020. Steve Clarke has had no way to communicate with his players or train with his players or up until now. It's been a very disastrous year all round for football. So I will remain a little bit optimistic. Moving forward, we need to get better though. We need to play the right teams. We need our players fit. It's going to be a big month when we're on the next international break, and we've got that playoff game against Israel, which will determine whether or not we could make it to a major tournament for the first time since 1998. But we're here to talk about the Celtic players on that duty. Scotland, please, get it together, please, just I beg you. 5 players were selected for Scotland duty. Only 3 of those 5 actually did play. Christie, Forrest and McGregor got minutes under Stevie Clarke. Greg Taylor and David Turnbull did not, despite being selected. Christie, we'll start with him. 2 appearances, 2 goals, both of them penalties, but man of the match in the game against the Czech Republic last night. Look, Ryan Christie, I think, is a player who a lot of people have questioned starting this season. Me, myself, I actually dropped him from my Celtic best starting 11 video, which a lot of people didn't agree with. There's been such a split opinion because the first couple of games of the season, so many people like Christie's been rotten, Christie's been terrible, despite playing out of position. And then when I done that video, there was so many comments saying Christie's been our best player going forward so far. So I don't really know where the Celtic support lie with him. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. The reason I don't have him in my best starting 11 is purely because, you know, I feel like he could do an impact coming off the bench. He could be great there. I'm not saying he should be dropped every week. I like Christie in the starting 11. I think he's a cracking player. I think people did take it a little bit out of context. But despite scoring 2 penalties, you know, we'll see what happens. But you know what? 2 appearances, 2 goals. Yes, there may be penalties. Can't complain. James Forrest, 1 appearance against Israel. He did get a yellow card. Not much else to say about his performance, and that really speaks for his season. There's not been much to say about him. Yes, a massive goal against Motherwell, which would have boosted his confidence, but guess international duty wasn't quite the stage for him to go out and do it again. He's always been very, I was going to say hit or miss for Scotland, but he's been more miss than hit. Let's cut right to the chase. But not too much from James Forrest. And finally, Callum McGregor made 2 appearances. One was a start, one was off the bench against the Czech Republic. He only came on with 10 minutes to go. How much can you do? And I feel like he's a completely different player when he plays for Scotland. His role does change between what he plays with Steve Clarke and Neil Lennon. McGregor's got to be a mainstay in the Celtic team, no matter what he does in the Scotland jersey. I don't think Neil Lennon is ever going to turn around and drop him. And I wouldn't look into his Scotland performances too much to kind of go on forward for his Celtic performances. That's how I personally go about it. But those were the 3 players that featured. Christie being the highlight of the 3, of course. Look, coming off the back of 2 goals probably means he should start against Ross County. And I don't know why. I still have this feeling he won't. I just don't know why it is. And I feel like it comes down to perhaps some of the slander he's been getting on. Well, we know one thing, and that's Neil Lennon doesn't listen. Norway. It's weird we've got 2 Norwegian Celts playing at a very high level for their national team. Ayer and Mohamed El Younousi doing well in the international break there. Ayer had 2 starts, 2 solid games, and Mohamed El Younousi was only featured in 1, but in fact scored against, who was it scored against? Again, Northern Ireland. What a goal it was as well. It's weird to think these 2 guys are playing in the same team as someone like Erling Brown Haaland. Like, that is madness. I always think about that when it comes to international duty. You get players just, you know, Edouard is actually playing with sheer class in that France Unders team. But you think about Haaland being there with El Younousi up top with him and Ayer playing at the back. Look, solid performances from the 2 of them. If you've not seen El Younousi go, oh my goodness. And that, for me, it needs to be the constant that we see from El Younousi. A lot of people have been questioning him and you know, his consistency, you could say, at the start of the season. Really media based as well. I've not so much heard it from too many fans. I'm sure there is fans out there who will say it, but from the media, he's not been good enough. He's not shown why Celtic have signed him back. That goal is what we need from him. He done it against Reykjavik. We need more of that. Christopher Ayer, of course, we don't know how long he'll be at Celtic, but 2 starts, conceding 2 goals as part of that back line, but you can't always blame him. But according to the ratings, he was solid. But El Younousi, the standout goal from the entire sort of list of players here, international duty. Go back, watch it, you haven't seen it. Beautiful wee tidy finish. Barkas, I will keep this one short and sweet, because what is there to say about a goalkeeper who's only conceded 6 shots in a total of 2 games? We can't sit here and suck up his backside. We can't sit here and say he's a world beater. At the same time, we can't say he's useless, because, you know, there's only so much they can do if there's only 6 shots given into them. 2 starts for Greece. The Greece number 1, of course, conceded 1 goal, 2 games, a 0-0 draw with was it Slovenia? Yep, Slovenia or Slovakia. That's annoying me now. Can't read my own handwriting. Slovenia, a 0-0 draw with them and a 2-1 win away to Kosovo. Yep, 6 shots, as I said, saving 5 of them, conceding 1 of them. How much is there to say about performances like that? Solid ratings. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Barkas. The things Chris Commons was saying in the media about him was absolutely shocking. Look, we get it. We didn't get Fraser Forster again. It's a new start, and this guy's going to be big for us. I know it. Switzerland and Albion Ageti, who featured only once in the 2 games and only for 15 minutes, so yep, no much to say there. He didn't feature in a very impressive draw with Germany. Like I say, very impressive. We keep forgetting Switzerland are actually quite a good team, and Ageti's another guy who's playing in an international squad of very good players. Didn't feature in the 1-0 with Germany. Germany, one of the best in the world, but he did feature for 15 minutes in a 2-1 loss to Ukraine. I'm supposed they'll be disappointed by that result. You look at Switzerland and Ukraine, you'd really favour Switzerland in that scenario, but Albion Ageti has not much to do with that. Hopefully he comes back. Celtic form that he had beforehand. 2 goals in 2 games so far. Well, 2 goals in 2 league games for Albion Ageti so far. Needs to continue that. Him and Edouard being linked up together. Oh my God almighty, it's going to be beautiful. Israel and both Beaton and El Ahmed started both games, played both games, and if you look over the course of the whole international break, might have been the 2 most solid players, both of them having great performances against Scotland and Slovakia. The Beaton was superb, and it does beg the question, right? If we see Christopher Ayer leave Celtic, say he does go, Does Beaton become his natural replacement? If we are intending on playing Duffy, Ajer and Julian as a back three, if Ajer goes, is Beaton the man to step in? Because he's not just doing it for Celtic now. Of course, he was kind of thrown into that role as a centre-back at Celtic because we didn't have depth there. He was naturally a central midfielder. But now, he's doing it for his country, and he's doing it quite well. He was probably Israel's best player against Scotland, and him and Elamed as well were both brilliant against Slovakia. Beaton could honestly be a starting centre-half for us, and some people might even say he should be starting over Ajer right now. There's no reason why he shouldn't be. He's performed well in the games he started under Lennon this season. Sometimes Lennon's bit the bullet, went, you know what, Ajer's on the bench, a couple of occasions so far, and he started Beaton, and Beaton has been brilliant. There's been no flaws. So perhaps we are currently looking at Celtic's new first, second centre-back choice, alongside Julian and Duffy. It's a weird one. El Ahmed, it was good to see him play. I think the first game he played a bit higher up the park, and that was against Scotland, of course, but moved into the centre-half role against Slovakia, where he got another solid performance, and a 1-0. They saved it late. A 90th minute equaliser got them the point, which helped Scotland out in the group. So, you know, well done, Agent Beaton and El Ahmed. You're helping us. And finally, the last international seniors team, Shane Duffy, captaining Ireland twice. Obviously, just off the back of signing late. He signed for Celtic, then the next day he went and scored that 90th minute equaliser. Rangers fans were laughing at him on Twitter. It was brilliant. We were laughing at him for a bit of play, which you might have not seen. Basically, Duffy makes a complete hash of it. He tried to clear the ball, someone's pressing him very well, and he panics and he just clears out, he just kicks out for a throw-in, right? Rangers fans are clipping it, put it into Twitter, brilliant. Goes up the park, scores a 90th minute equaliser. It was fantastic. People were deleting their tweets and everything. It was brilliant. But Duffy, cannot wait to see him in a Celtic jersey. Yes, Ireland did not have the best results. It is a new start for their national team. You've got to remember that Stephen Kenny has now came in, took charge of the national team there. It's a new era. Duffy was, I think this may have been the first time Duffy was actually captain in the side. But, you know, scored that 90th minute equaliser in the first game. Second game, they did lose to Finland. Quite devastating if you're an Ireland fan, I can only imagine. But 2 goals conceded in 2 games. There's a long way to come for that Ireland team altogether. But ultimately, it's not going to hold me back for being very excited to see Shane Duffy in that Celtic back line. So say what you want, but do you know what? That goal alone, build a statue. I said it on Twitter, build a statue. Finally, we'll move on to the 2 strikers who were on under-21s duties, and we'll try and go through very quickly. Odds on Edouard, oh my God almighty. Look, it's going to get harder and harder to keep a hold of him. He's just unbelievable, and he shows it at every single level he plays at. He shows it in the Premiership, he scores it in the cup competitions, he shows it in Europe, and he even shows it in international duty. He has now scored 36 goals in 43 games for France youth teams. Not just the under-21s, that's including under-18s, 19s. That is a record, that is unbelievable. That is unreal. Because you've got to remember, he is playing against people at the same level. People go, oh, it's only unders. But he's still playing a similar quality of player. Unreal record, unbelievable. And he scored 2 goals, 2 penalties against Azerbaijan and Georgia. From everything that I've seen on Twitter, by all accounts, Edouard was the best player in the park against Azerbaijan. Apparently him and Guendouzi had a fantastic game. And look, his value's just going to keep going up, up, up. We need him to sign a contract. We need as much money out of him as possible when the time comes that he goes, look, if he's here for 10, I couldn't get a toss. I'll take 5 million quid for him if he's here for 10. But it would actually be a kick in the stones to lose a lot of money if we don't sign a new deal for him. But my God, he's just doing it at every level. It's like he's just another animal. This is something Celtic don't see very often. You know, the likes of him and Dembele, drink it up while you can, because God knows how long we're going to have it.
When I came to Poland, I saw my car was stolen. It was my favourite truck. I said fucking kurwa mać.
And finally, Patrick Klimala, who still has a game to play tonight. That's the only game left to play out of all our players here. But he scored in the 6-0 win against Estonia in the under-21s game. Big for him. I hope this shows to Neil Lennon that he is match fit. There's no excuses now. If we need to play Klimala, he is match fit. We've seen it. He came on and helped change the game against Motherwell. He's now scored for his international side in the under-21s. Look, that confidence for him should be going up and up and up. If he's scoring here, if he's getting chances under Lennon, but Lennon needs to play the part in that, and he needs to give him game time. We can't just sit him on the bench 24/7. No. Give him time. It's either that or it's only been a matter of time before he wants to leave the club. Kamala scoring, good to see, and that does it all for all the Celts overseas. That does it for the video today, guys. If you have enjoyed, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It is something a bit different. Hopefully people find it interesting, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Just try to fire out the content as best quality as I possibly can, and hopefully I've gave you an insight as to how the players have done on international duty. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.